Hello, my dear students. Hope you all are good and fine. Student, as I told you that in our next video, we will start our next book, which is Social and Political Life Part 2. So, students, today we are going to start this book. Before starting the chapter on equality, first we will see the syllabus of this book. Student, this book is divided into 5 units. The first unit is equality in Indian democracy, in which you are going to read one chapter on equality. Second unit, state government. In this, two chapters are there. One, role of the government in health. Two, how the state government works. The next unit, unit 3, it is based on gender, in which you are going to study again two chapters. One is growing up as boys and girls, and the next chapter, women changing the world. Next, fourth unit. In this, you will study about the media. The chapter name is Understanding Media. Next, fifth unit. It is based upon the markets. The chapters are there: markets around us and a shot in the market. Students, the unit 1 is again continued in our last chapter, which is struggle for equality. Students, in our first chapter on equality, we are going to start 3 stories which are based upon the characters Kanta, Om Prakash Valmiki, and the Ansaris, all of whom experienced inequality in different ways. So, students, to know more about them, let's start the chapter. Student, already you have studied in your class 6 book what is democracy. As you know, India is a democratic country. We looked in our class 6 book at the key elements of a democratic government. These include people's participation, the resolution of conflict, and equality and injustice. So, what is equality? Equality is a key feature of democracy and influence all aspects of its functioning. In this chapter, you will read more about equality, what it is, why it is, and whether or not everyone is equal in India. So, let's begin our first story of Kanta's story. One election day, Kanta and her friend Sujata are waiting to cast their vote. Kanta recognizes her employer Ashok Jain and Chote Lal, her neighbor. In a democratic country like India, all adults, irrespective of what religion they belong to, how much education they have had, what caste they are, or whether they are rich or poor, are allowed to vote, as you can see in this picture. Kanta is excited to vote and happy that she is equal to all of the others because each of them has one vote. But as her day goes on, Kanta becomes less certain about what this equality really means. You know why? Students, as you know that government has given us many fundamental rights, and right to equality is one right which government has given to us. But as you know, in our country, the peoples are discriminating by their social status, by their caste, and their religion. So, the same case has happened with Kanta. Kanta is living in a slum area and has a rain behind her house. Her daughter is sick, but she cannot take the day off from work because she needs to borrow money from her employer to take her child to the doctor. Student, as you can see, Kantai is a daily wage worker, so she is not having any savings for her future. So she has to borrow the money from her employer. So what has happened next in the story? Let's see. Finally, Kantabai ends her day by again standing in a long line. This line in front of the government hospital is unlike the one in the morning because most of the people standing in it are poor. Now Kantabai is thinking, Jain Madam and Jain Saab may stand in line to vote, but they never have to do it when their children are sick. You know why? Because in reality, a difference exists between rich and poor. Students, in Kanta's story, which inequality you have seen, it is one kind of inequality. There are many kinds of inequality which you will see in more stories. Apart from being poor, people in India experience inequality in different ways. And one way is there the caste system. Our next story of Om Prakash Valmiki is based on the caste system. Let's have a look upon that story also. Student, in your class 6th book already you have read one term Dalit. The Dalit meaning broken. So here Om Prakash Valmiki is also belonging from a Dalit caste. What had happened with him? Let's see. In his autobiography, Jutan, Om Prakash Valmiki died. I had to sit away from the others in the class, and that too on the floor. The mat ran out before reaching the spot I sat on. Sometime I would have to sit way behind everybody, right near the door. Sometime they would beat me without any reason. And even he was in class 4th. The headmaster asked Om Prakash to sweep the school and the playground because he was belonging to a Dalit caste. He was not even allowed to get a drink of water. One day, his father saw his son sweeping in the school playground. He wants to the headmaster and take his son from there. Students, when persons are treated unequally, their dignity is violated. Dalits in India and minorities are denied the privileges to nobility and uniformity. Student, equality is a condition where all are having equal rights. But in these two stories, you have seen both are discriminated by our society. To understand more about this, let's have a look one more example of religion-wise inequality. It is the story of Ansaris. Those are belonging from another religion. They were looking to rent an apartment in the city. They had the money and so paying the rent was no problem. They went to a property dealer for help to find a place. The dealer informed them that he knew about quite a few apartments that were available for rent. They visited the first apartment and the Ansaris liked it very much and decided to take it. However, when the landlady found out their names, she made an excuse about how she could not rent the house to someone who ate meat because the building did not have any non vegetarian residents. They were surprised. The same excuse was repeated in the second and the third apartments. Finally, the property dealer told them that they might want to change their name and call themselves Mr. and Mrs. Kumar. The Ansaris were reluctant to do this. Finally, after searching a whole month, they got a particular place. Now, in this story, you have seen one more example of discrimination or hurting anybody's dignity through their religion. Students, now you have understood by now that the caste we are born into, the religion we practice, the class background we come from, whether we are male or female. These are often the things that determine why some peoples are treated unequally. Om Prakash Valmiki and the Ansaris are being treated unequally on the basis of differences of caste and religion. But they do not deserve to be treated like this. They deserve the same respect and dignity as someone else. Students, to remove these type of discrimination, Government of India has given a fundamental right to us. The right is known as right to equality. What is right to equality? Now see. Students, the Indian Constitution perceives each individual as equivalent. In any case, it doesn't imply that disparity does not exist in India. For agreements give balance in India, correspondence under the watchful eyes of the law, no segregation on the premise of rank, shading, religion, race, gender. Everybody approaches every single open place and untouchability has been cancelled. This means that every individual in the country, including male and female persons from all caste, religion, tribes, educational, and economic backgrounds, are recognized as equal. Every person is equal before the law. What this means is that every person from the president of the country to Kanta, a domestic worker, has to obey the same laws. Second, no person can be discriminated against on the basis of their religion. Third, every person has access to all public places, including playgrounds, hotels, shops, and markets. And the last, fourth, untouchability has been abolished. There are several laws in India that protect every person's right to be treated equally. Government has introduced many schemes to reduce the discrimination from our society, and one of the steps taken by government includes the midday meal scheme. Government has started the reservation policy to remove the discrimination from our society so that everybody can be treated as equal. Students, you must be wondering if India is the only country where there is inequality or there are many more such countries in the world. So, the answer is the United States of America is one such country where Afro Americans were discriminated against due to apartheid policy. Apartheid policy is the racial system which has been introduced by the Americans against the Afro Americans because their ancestors were slaves who came from Africa, and this apartheid policy was going on with them for a long time. An Afro American woman named Rosa Parker, who worked in the US, she was also facing this discriminatory policy. After a long effort, an act called the Civil Rights Movement was introduced in America, which was known as the Civil Rights Act 1964, which prohibited such a type of racial system. However, despite this, a majority of Afro Americans continue to be among the poorest in country. Students, however, the government has made considerable provisions in the Constitution to remove discrimination and inequality. But due to some malpractices of our society, it will still take a long time to get all these rights. Our government is gradually ending these evils, but some antisocial elements are pushing all these reforms further back for their convenience. The government has yet to do a very long struggle. Nevertheless, it becomes our moral responsibility to follow these policies brought by the government so that no Kantabai, Om Prakash Valmiki, and Ansari face this discrimination. So, students, here this chapter is complete. Hope you understood the meaning of inequality and equality. You also understood how you have to remove these practices. In our next video, we will read Geography chapter 2. So, till then, stay home, be safe. Bye bye.